Greetings adventurers and welcome to ADVinJapan. What you're looking at here is my most recently purchased rear case for my motorcycle. In this particular video, I'm going to be covering all the features of this case, as well as doing a top by top or side by side comparison of my previous setup to this current setup. And I'm going to discuss the reasons why I decided to make the upgrade. So if you're in the market for a new rear case or for your first rear case, then definitely stick around as we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right, so getting straight into the comparison right out the gate, you can see on top here is my previously used Lycus case that I purchased from Amazon. And then on the bottom, the kind of no brand name that I also purchased from Amazon. So just taking a look, you can see the noticeable difference in size. In fact, as I'll show you later, this case actually fits inside my new case, providing me a lot more room to store the gear that just seems to be growing every single day. That was one of the biggest issues, is I needed a case that was larger, that could store all of my electronic gear in one place. And then related to that, I wanted to be able to take all of that gear off of my motorcycle in one case, put it in my house, and store it in one case as well too. A Lycus case, this was a permanent solution that was bolted to my rear rack. I had to open up the case, remove all the electronics, put it in a basket, take that basket inside and leave it somewhere. And it just became laborious. I also ran into an issue where I accidentally left a battery on the lower level here that I just didn't really even realize it. I think I left a couple GoPro batteries in here too, and they almost exploded. And that's an issue. So I really wanted to make sure I had an all-in-one system where I could easily detach the case from the motorcycle and bring it all inside. And that's exactly what this case provides. This is made out of a composite kind of PVC material, I believe. Very rugged, very durable. In fact, I would argue that both of these cases provide a suitable amount of protection for off-road adventure riding. I have fallen with this case on my rear rack more times than I can count, and it's never accidentally unlatched. It's never been banged up or bashed up too bad, and it's never resulted in any of my gear getting damaged, aside from the heat issue that I just mentioned before. But because this is a lighter material, this case comes in at a total weight of about, I believe, 1.6 kilograms, whereas this aluminum case with plastic elements and aluminum alloy attachments comes in at around 6.2 kilograms. So a significant weight difference over the plastic case. Now, the dimensions of the case, again, as I mentioned, this case will actually fit all the way inside here. So the outer dimensions of this case are pretty much the inner dimensions of this case. And you're looking at a size for the new case of 38.5 by 31 by 19. That's the inner dimensions. And then the external dimensions are 41 by 33 by 20. And the storage capacity for this lower case is 25 liters. This is waterproof. I believe it's the IP8X or whatever it is. So, I mean, it'll keep rainwater out, no problem. There is a rubber seal all the way throughout here, and they get compressed very nicely to create a really, really good rainproof seal. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the features and what you get when you purchase this. So another reason I decided to go with this, and just as a caveat, I never use my rear case to hold my helmet. You won't get a helmet inside here, it just will not fit. And I do that for two reasons. Number one, I live in a country that's relatively safe, low crime rate, Japan. I don't have to worry about theft all that much. But in reality, I typically take my helmet with me when I leave my motorcycle. So it's not an issue for me. I don't feel like I need to have something to store back there. Plus, obviously having a helmet storable sized case means you're just increasing the top heaviness of your bike. And I wanted to make sure that I had just what I needed for what I have now to be able to store and no more. Because obviously putting weight on the rear of your bike is not what you want to do when you go off-road. So what is included with this? You get these two kind of reflective tape strips. The logo is not included. You also get, as you can see back here, you get stick-on pads for a second passenger. You know, occasionally I will have my wife ride with me, so I wanted to have that on there. And to be honest, it doesn't really actually increase the overall size or weight of the case anyway, so I put it on there. I am imagining though, in the summertime when this case heats up, I'm probably gonna have to get some heat-proof adhesive, because I imagine these things are probably gonna fall off. The other nice feature here too is you have a double lock mechanism. The first lock locks the actual contents of that are inside the case, and then the second lock here will actually lock the case to your motorcycle rack. And so that means what is also included in here is the mounting element or the mounting plate, which gets mounted into here. And I will be showing you this later when I go out to the bike and show you how to actually mount this to your rear rack. It comes with 2 keys, which is nice. If you lose one, you still got another one that you can deal with. And this is a really nice feature. It does give you some poles here, some kind of racks to mount additional luggage on top, which I will probably make use of. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive inside the case and see what I've got inside here. All right, so inside the case, as you can see here, you've got a nice little insert on both the top and the bottom. And the inserts are made of a nice little foam material that has, I believe, a heat-resistant material on the back here. It also has anti-slip. So this is removable, but I do recommend keeping it inside the case because, again, it does offer heat protection. And at the very least, you do have a little bit of protection against vibration. It is padded, so I would just keep it in there if you can. The other thing that you don't see in here right now is there is a belt system that comes here. You can kind of, clip in everything, kind of like what suitcases have often. You can clip everything in. I removed that because I have my own system that I devised, but you still have those loops, those plastic loops on here that you can utilize if you like. There are 2 little pockets here that allow you to kind of store little extra items in here, which I will utilize as I show you the stuff that I put inside here. So again, as I mentioned, the Lycus case fits literally inside of here. If you guys have watched my video on the Lycus case on how I customized this out, I ended up doing a double layered system to store all of my electronics. So you can see here, there's a nice corrugated foam in here that keeps all the electronics here in place from bouncing around inside. But also I have this little tab system that I devised where you can pull off the first layer of items and get access to a second layer of items. So I'm going to show you the new system that I devised that looks very professional, very clean, and very, very nice. So if you are interested in kind of outfitting your case in a very similar manner to hold all your electronics, maybe some of your safety devices, pumps and whatnot, then definitely stick around for the next section. If not, and you just want to use this to store maybe clothes or whatever, then you can go ahead and skip this next section and go to the installation of this case outside. So this is my new dual layered system, and what I decided to go with was, again, I wanted to go with the cheaper option. I don't have the money to spend on those really, really expensive foam inserts that come as a solid piece, and so I went ahead and went with the little pull tab foam inserts. And we all know that this stuff just gets grimy and nasty over time, and so I wanted to find a solution to perhaps solve this. And I figured there probably had to be some type of glue spray that I could use that would achieve this. And sure enough, just a Google search, and this popped up. This stuff you can get in the States, you can get it in Japan. It's relatively cheap, probably cheaper for you guys in the States. Absolutely fantastic. What it does is it's a spray-on rubber, and after you're finished, creating all your spaces for all your devices, you pulled all those tabs out, then just go outside and give it a good spray, maybe 2 or 3 layers. So spray it on once, let it dry, spray it again, let it dry. And eventually what you'll get is a solid piece. Like this does not, you can see this is a total solid piece of foam, and it actually looks and performs like that really high-end expensive foam that you can get for camera cases. And the benefit to this is over time you're not going to get all that stuff getting pulled apart. These little sections that I've cut out are going to maintain their shape and provide the maximum amount of protection for my devices, and it gets the job done. And so what I ended up doing is just cutting out 2 different sections like I had for my Lycus case. On the first section, obviously I have items that I use much less than I do on the first top section there. And then finally I got a corrugated piece of foam for the top of the case to hold all this in and make sure that it's not bouncing around when I'm writing. So here I've got an electric pump. Here I've got my jump starter with the jumper cables. I've got my gimbal accessories, and I've got my microphone as well too. And I typically use this only when I use my gimbal, so they're both on the same level there. And then sitting on top of this are all the elements for my action cameras, including the action cameras themselves, some accessories for the DJI drone that I own as well. But more importantly, I've got all of my battery charging accessories in here as well too. So I'm not going to go over all the little teeny tiny pieces because I know what you're going to put in your case is probably going to look a lot different than what I put in my case. But, you know, just to give you a kind of simple understanding of how I organized all this, I just wanted to show you these different layers. All right, so let's go ahead and put these in the case and you can see what it actually looks like. Okay, so let's start with the upper part here. So again, we got these two nice little pockets. I like to put heat pads and icy hot pads in here too after a long day of riding. I've got a couple drone parts here that I keep in there, spare parts, propellers and whatnot. And then over on top of all this stuff, this little piece of foam here just sits very nicely inside here and provides extra padding as well. It doesn't get in the way of the case actually closing down, and it does not compromise the waterproofness of the case either. Really, this is just to make sure that all the stuff that I put down here doesn't bounce around while I'm riding. All right, so let's go ahead and put in the two layers here. So the first layer is a little flimsy, but again, this is not designed to be taken out. This is designed to just sit in here for all of eternity and never to be removed. It's that top layer that I need to have quick access and pull out. And this is where I devised my, my little tab system here. So this is the top layer. You can see I've got two duct tape tabs here, and this is literally just for me to pull out this top layer. And again, as I mentioned, this is the only layer that I'm going to be pulling out, and I'll be doing it quite frequently in order, well, not quite frequently, but occasionally, maybe once a day, twice a day on my adventure trips in order to get access to some of the items down below. And the way to achieve this without breaking this foam is I put a plastic little piece here that I glued to the bottom, and this kind of just helps everything stay in place, and it allows me to pull this whole thing out without ruining the foam. And it's cut a little bit slightly less than the size of what this is, and what that allows is for this piece of foam to just kind of melt right inside. Just kind of fits right inside there. Just like so. Very nice, neat, and clean. And again, it sits below where the waterproofing is. And then again, I've got this little upper piece here that will just hold everything in place. So when the case comes down, you get a nice seal. Beautiful. Everything is in there. You can shake it around. Nothing's moving. Nice and solid. All right, so let's go ahead and head outside and see how this bad boy fits on the motorcycle itself. All right, so here we are outside. I'm gonna go ahead and do kind of a comparison of my previous setup. So you can see this is my old Lycus case setup that I had. Just to give you a good size comparison here. And then you can see my new case. So yes, larger, but not so much larger that I think it takes away from the look of the bike, and not so much weight that I think it really makes a massive difference in terms of off-road performance. It will make a difference, but I think, again, it's worth the benefits that I gain in using this new case. So with the new case, you will receive a mounting mechanism, and this will get bolted directly to your rear rack. This is an aftermarket AliExpress rear rack that I bolted to my KTM 390 Adventure. And I did have to actually drill one extra hole into it in order to get this bolt in here. And then the plate that they give you, the mounting plate, just gets bolted directly to the rack. Pretty simple. And then you've got this little locking mechanism, and this is what you're gonna latch the case to in order to lock it to the actual rear of your bike. Now you can see these little rubber grommets here. They're pretty heavy duty. They've taken a beating already, which has got me a little worried, but you know, they're pretty rugged. I think they're gonna be all right. But essentially the case slides onto these and then gets latched into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate that. So again, as I mentioned, you've got these little holes here, and that's where those little rubber pieces go into, and you just slide the whole case onto that. So I'll get everything kind of lined up, just like so. Everything's locked in, and then you can see this little piece here just comes right up in here, latches onto there, and gets latched down nice and secure. One thing that you really need to make sure when you install this is that they put this mounting plate too far out, and so that when you latch the case down, it's too loose. Now, obviously you don't want to put it too far in because then it's too tight. So you need to play around with this a little bit in order to make sure that you got a really, really tight fit on the case. That's a pretty darn tight fit. That's not going anywhere. All right, adventurers, that's a wrap. Definitely leave your questions and comments down in the comments section there, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. If this video was helpful to you, definitely like and subscribe. It helps bump this video up and make it that much more available to people that need this kind of information. All right, y'all. Until next time, this is ADVinJapan. Out.